My name is Thelma Krug, and I am Vice Chair of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC. Well, this conference comes just 2 weeks after we have the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, approving and accepting the special report on global warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius. And this report really brings in numerous challenges for us to limit the global warming to 1.5. That relates to industry, relates to energy, it relates to urban infrastructure, transportation. You were talking about a whole suite of elements that need unprecedented changes. Well, carbon capture and storage can play an essential role as one method to remove CO2 from the atmosphere. So we are not just talking about reducing the emissions, but that might not be sufficient, because IPCC is talking about zeroing emissions, CO2 emissions by 2050. And that might be quite a challenge for all the sources of emissions to be reduced by zero. So you have two roles here for CCS. One is in helping for the emissions to be zeroed, compensating for those residual emissions that could not be zeroed because of cost or lack of technology. And also for us to continue to have a role for negative emissions, as we say, that will be needed to continue to compensate for these residual emissions. CCS, carbon capture and storage, is already ongoing, an ongoing technology, but not at the scale that it's required to limit global warming to 1.5. So we are talking about really moving into an unproven, ability in terms of social acceptability, and also, can we do it? Do we have? Is it something feasible to do at the scale that it's necessary? So we are talking about amplifying the scale, looking for research, and really stimulating research to overcome all the enabling conditions that you need to make this feasible. So you're talking about institutional capacity, you're talking about finance, you're talking about improving even technology of the CCS. You're talking about the environmental potential impacts that you may have. How do you overcome all these? So it's a package that is quite complex. So we are talking about stimulating research. We are talking about public and private finance. How do we stimulate that? It's just essential for IPCC to have these partnerships set to let this go in. Plus, you need to have international cooperation. You need to have a whole suite of ways that the world relates to make this expanded to the scale that's necessary with the minimal damage and the most social acceptability.